3 races and 3 wins for Matthew Boniface, put him well atop the point standings in the HFL Legends Series, and now round number 4 brings us to the birthplace of the NASCAR Stars. Located in Newton, North Carolina, Hickory Motor Speedway is one of, if not the most historic racetrack that you can find, at least short track we'll say, that you can find on iRacing.com. We are here this evening for some Supreme Legend Car racing, and this HFL Legend Series, Justin, it's been fantastic week in, week out, always building on the previous race, and it's just getting better and better and better, but we have a slight format change, and it looks like we are not counting caution laps tonight in the feature, which is really going to spice things up, I think, add to a bit of the occasion, certainly, as we unveil, of course, the Hickory Motor Speedway this evening in the virtual Newton, North Carolina. It is a small, little, somewhat D-shaped oval. You can see the sun is set there in the background behind turns. Actually, I think that sunset is a little bit off. Knowing the track, that is a little bit backwards there, iRacing. But anyways, the beautiful Hickory Motor Speedway and the red and white walls, it's just so throwback in every way.
Oh, for sure. We got another 3/8 of a mile track on this schedule. It's the second one of the season. And hopefully some of that experience from the last one can carry over to this week as well.
Of course, last week we were at 5 flags. Well, let's take a look at the track map here at Hickory Motor Speedway. You can see it there, brought to you by Whiplash Media Simcams. And again, just a tiny little, somewhat D-shaped track, a bit between an oval and a D, if you will. The U.S. Legend Car fastest lap time is a 15:08.6 here on the sim. So we'll be chasing that as these guys are actually in that neighborhood. It's a 15:158 so far in practice for Matthew Boniface, so we'll see if we get closer and closer to that time, potentially cracking that time at some point over the course of the evening. Let's take a look at the schedule then for this season, and then we'll, of course, wrap around to point standings. But South Boston, Charlotte, 5 flags, and now Hickory for round 4. Next week, it's a dirt race, Nashville, USA, Lime Rock, Indianapolis, and then a to-be-determined round for the championship. Round 4 this evening, how do you think it goes?
I think it can go either way, but judging on the past 3 weeks, I mean, you'd be right to put your money on Matthew Boniface again. So we'll see if any of the people in the field can dethrone the king so far.
We'll have to wait and see. And talking about the domination from Matthew Boniface, let's check out the standings. Boniface on top by 20 over Brandon Herzing. Timmy Martin enters this evening in the 4th spot in standings, and you can see how they all break down from here. Are there any surprises after 3 weeks of racing to you, Justin?
I'd say on how close Herzing is still to Boniface. Even though Matthew's gone out and just tore this whole field up, just seeing that Herzing is still right with him, within 20, he's actually at 20 points behind him. Just seeing how being consistent and just being up front can really pay off in just a short season like this.
It'll be interesting to see how things change after this evening, but yeah, Boniface with that 20-point lead. Guys like Eric Sellers, Mark Smith in the top 10 top 5 are interesting to me. And if you want to go for the top 10, even guys like Douglas Fisher, John Barry, being so far out of this, but in the top half of this graphic, is really interesting. I think it paints an interesting story actually for this series, just how tumultuous these first few weeks have been for most, if not all, drivers, aside from Matthew Boniface, who, again, leading the way here in practice. Car 95, boy is he quick.
Yeah, he always seems to come out swinging every single week. And let's see if anyone can match or even better the pace that the 95 puts down this night.
Let's go on board here with Matthew Boniface as he rolls out onto the speedway. And down here in turns 3 and 4, you just want to get an arc back down to the inside of turn 4 and get a run up out of the corner. That turn 4 wall comes at you pretty quick no matter what car you're running, and then you want to kind of glide through the corner. I think that's the best way to put it here, Hickory. No matter the car, you just kind of want to glide and let the track do most of the work. You really don't want to scrub your tires here, and you really don't want to have to fight the track more than necessary for sure. And that lap for Boniface is a 15:259, so a little off his best time, but certainly not bad at all. As here's Brandon Herzing across the line. Does he go any faster from a 14:348 to a 15:348 to a 15:470?
Yeah, it's seeing what Boniface did there. I think he was just trying to do a mock qualifying lap to help get him into a better heat. And watching Herzing here, it looks like he's just trying to be smooth and consistent. As you said, you don't want to scrub tires here because short track racing, you need tires at the end.
Especially in these legend cars. You've got to set them up so much more loosely, and we've seen that as this is fixed setup racing here in the HFL Legends Series. These fixed setups tend to be a little bit loose so they can go a little bit faster and really challenge these drivers, but that can be quite difficult to hang on to, as we've seen, I think, most evidently at South Boston for week number 1. 16 cars in the field so far this evening. I want to thank all the drivers for showing up and showing out, as we've got just 3 minutes of practice left. And of course, we do want to thank our partners here at the HFL Legends Series as well, Admin Box and Southlington Tool and Manufacturing Corporation, and our partners here at the channel, Whiplash Media SimCams, SimRepMarket.com, and Short Track Weekly. Been watching Herzing here for the last few moments. How about Mark Smith and some others here in the top 10 in practice? Just watching the laps kind of file away, and you're seeing just how quickly these laps can go by here at Hickory as well. It seems like no matter the race car, while yes, it can be a bit tricky, these guys just always find speed here. There's just enough banking to make these cars go quite quickly, but not too much to where you end up, you know, with some crazy speeds through the mid portion of the corner and corner entry where you just crash a whole bunch. It's just a really unique racetrack.
Yeah, you also have an asymmetrical setup for this track as well, with turns 1 and 2 having 14 degrees of banking, whereas 3 and 4 only has 12 degrees. So drivers have to put that into consideration when they're going around here while racing the other drivers.
Eric Sellers goes P3 on the practice charts now to a 15.293, so picking up time there is car 97. In case you're wondering, we're a few moments behind schedule, in fact about 6 to 8 minutes, somewhere in that range, so we get a little bit of extra practice coverage, which certainly never hurt nobody. Let's check out the weather conditions for this race. 70 degrees in the air, 71 on the track, partly cloudy, but that's not too much of an effect once the sun has gone down anyway, so just a perfect night for racing, frankly. I wish every night we went to the racetrack I could have 70 degrees in the air. That would be a whole lot nicer than some of the summer temperatures we get.
Oh, that's for sure. But you also have to remember, with the cooler air temperature, as we saw, cooler track, and as what we saw last week, these drivers might need a few laps to get everything up to operating temperature to be able to not be so, per se, sketchy out of the corners as they have shown over the past few weeks.
And what's interesting is we've seen this track for Legend Car Racing recently, if actually, let's see, here we go, this is the schedule for the 2023 Season 1 schedule for Advanced Legends Cup Racing that we've been covering on the channel thanks to Pain Built Legends. But what I'm talking about here is Round 4, interestingly enough, Round 4 in that schedule, and Round 4 here for HFL Legends Racing. Both Hickory Motor Speedway, and while that was on January 2nd, that was the SOF split of the Advanced Legends Cup, I think there's a few, certainly, learning tools that were picked up back on January 2nd, and just that whole week of racing, and certainly by guys like Matthew Boniface, who is leading practice, as well as guys like Maverick Davis and Eric Sellers, Brennan Herzing, I'm sure, that all ran officials that week. Certainly a lot of learning was done at that point in time, and picked up a lot of speed.
Yeah, and I'll allude back to what I said last week as well. Being on the track is invaluable time. You cannot put a price on that. So the more seat time you get, the better off you're going to be going into this round tonight.
Next week, we're going dirt racing, though, so throw out everything you know about pavement racing and just have some fun on the dirt in Brazelton, Georgia. But for now, we've got qualifying heading on track. Fish, one of the first cars to load up, but nobody leaving the pits yet until Dominic Rossi in car 42. He's going to head out first and see what he's got behind the wheel. Got to wait quite a ways before actually getting up on the throttle out of turn number 2, but here comes Rossi around to start his first flying lap. Meanwhile, here's a look at through most of the field. Robert Matthews there in car 314. Chris Franz now loading into the pit lane. Matthew Boniface, as we saw earlier in car 95. How about Brandon Herzing in the pit lane? Maverick Davis in car 113. A new paint scheme there as Boniface goes to the top of the board, no surprise. Rossi will go second for now. Jesse Fox is out here in car 20, the same car 20 we've seen, that bright yellow Pennzoil machine. Here's Fish across the line. How about Ron Blackwell in car 27 as Boniface further hangs on to the pole here as he completes his run. Here's a look at Herschel Lawrence, a new driver to us this evening in car 46, looking a bit like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, honestly, with that color combo. You know what? I think that's an idea. Herschel, if you watch this back, that would be a paint idea for you as Fish goes P2 in qualifying, Justin.
Oh, Fish pulling it out tonight. That's awesome to see. Seeing these guys improve week after week. As we see Sellers and Barry take it away. And looks like 17 is Smith. Hits the wall, apparently.
He goes P2 doing it, though, and that second lap it'll be invalidated. But that first lap, boy, was it a ripper. At a 15.309, Sellers goes P3. Herzing will go P4. This all moves Fish down to 7th position now on the time charts. Now 8th as Timmy Martin goes to the 7th spot in the number 13 car. Glad to have him sporting some Pit Stop TV colors there on the left front fender of that number 13 car. Herschel Lawrence is now 10th spot. Douglas Fisher, 12th. Maverick Davis back here in 13th position with his qualifying run. Rossi now 14th. Kirk Schweizer yet to turn a time as here's Ron Blackwell to turn his time. And he will bring it down the pit lane.
Yeah. Might have not had a good run on that second lap.
And that'll do it for Blackwell. He pitted on each of his laps, it looks like, and will invalidate those laps. So no time, unfortunately, for car 27. That should line him up in 16th spot, depending on what Kirk Schweizer does in car 65. He has not taken to the racetrack yet at all. Once again, a big thank you to our partners here with the HFL Legends Series, Admin Box and Silington Tool Manufacturing, and of course, our partners here with the channel, Whiplash Media SimCams, SimRapMarket.com, and Short Track Weekly. While we await the conclusion of qualifying here, Justin, let's actually take a quick step aside and go Pit Stop TV side by side for just a moment. We'll be right back with heat racing action. Welcome back to the virtual Hickory Motors Speedway. You can see it here in all of its glory on iRacing.com, immortalized forever in its state back a couple of years ago when iRacing finally made the trip out to this historic 3/8 mile speedway. Let's talk about our grid for heat number 1 here. Justin Erb, glad you're joining us once again for coverage here of the HFL Legends Series. Cars on track. Let's take a look through our starting order. For Heat 1, Jesse Fox inverts up to the pole position. Timmy Martin will start from second spot. Starting third in Heat 1, it's John Barry. Eric Sellers will start from fourth. Matthew Boniface will start from the fifth position. Then it's Robert Matthews there in sixth. And to round out the Heat 1 8-car field, it's Maverick Davis in Kirk Schweizer, who does not take any time in qualifying and will start from the rear of the field. Ready to go racing then for 10 laps of heat racing action. Waiting on the call from the starter stand. Green flag is out. We're racing for the first time tonight at Hickory. One lap complete, and they go across the line there. Third place, that's the battle. Matthew Boniface and Maverick Davis. Davis on the inside in that rainbow fender, number 113. Gets that third spot away. Boniface is going to have to keep trying as the 13 spins the background. That's Timmy Martin around. Look at this battle. To the inside, Davis now for the race lead on Barry as you have the 3 wide on board with Boniface. Eric Sellers rather goes by on the inside. He's got the same team paint as Fish there, but a big move there from Sellers up to third as now the 14 of Barry falls back, and there was that close moment with Jesse Fox. 1 lap ago here to turn 3. Boniface now up the inside of the 14 car of Barry, trying to take that third spot from him, and he will do exactly that now. 6 laps to go in Heat 1.
Yeah, these guys are racing real good tonight. It's definitely a pleasant change to see. Given the other heat races that we've seen over the past few weeks. And these guys are just going wheel to wheel, just hammered down, and I'm loving every second of it.
Hickory was arguably the best race of the season for official Legends Racing here on Pitstop TV way back on January 2nd or so, and man, this place is just so fantastic to race any kind of car on. These Legend cars, for a long time, they weren't part of the racing card at Hickory. Now they finally are once again, and boy, it's just really, really cool to watch these guys rip around here. How about this battle for second spot? Sellers and Boniface. Boniface a little bit loose out of turn 2, or turn 4 rather, as they complete lap number 7. On to lap 8 now, 3 to go.
Yeah, it's looking like Boniface is trying to do what he can to try to catch up to Sellers here, to try to challenge for that second spot. You saw him taking the apron down in turn 1 and 2 there.
Whoa, Sellers loose into one, and he's going to loop it a little bit, slides into the outside wall, and he's going to have to get back going as he loses 3 spots. There goes Barry and Fox. Now another one goes on by in Kirk Schweizer, and it's 1 lap to go, presented by Whiplash Simcams here at Heat 1 for Maverick Davis as Boniface is able to go purple that lap. I don't think he's going to be close enough into turn 3, and certainly he will not. Maverick Davis will put himself on pole for the feature here at Hickory.
Oh, that's very nice. Oh, good heat race. A lot of good, tight racing there, wheel to wheel. Nearly had an incident with that 3 wide coming off of 2.
Maverick Davis showing up and showing out there in heat number 1. And now heat number 2, it's going to be a little bit of a different field, of course. Well, an entirely different field with a lot of our same friendly faces here in the HFL Legends Series. Do want to remind you, of course, of our partners here with the HFL Legends Series, Admin Box and Soundington Tool Manufacturing Company. Such great partners, really allowing this series, A, to take place in the capacity that it is, and B, actually be covered here on Pitstop TV. It's not easy to make happen, but with the help of Admin Box and Soundington Tool Manufacturing Corporation, Brandon Herzing and everybody else here at the HFL Legends Series has been able to get this series now on the big screen here at Pitstop TV, and we certainly appreciate the help. Both of these partners and, of course, everybody behind the scenes making this kind of thing happen. Cars are rolling. Let's take a look at our starting grid for heat number 2. It's the unofficial Oscar Mayer Wienermobile there for car 46. Herschel Lawrence off the pole. Fish will start from second spot. Chris Franz from third. Brendan Herzing from fourth. Mark Smith second fastest qualifier in the field. We'll start from 5th here in heat number 2. Douglas Fisher from the 6th spot in your back row of heat number 2. It's Dominic Rossi and Ron Blackwell. Not much has changed as far as weather conditions. In fact, they're the exact same numbers as we saw a little while ago. 70 degrees in the air, 71 degrees on track. I believe it's static weather conditions for these drivers this evening at Hickory. Let's belt ourselves back in one more time and go racing. Heat 2 underway at Hickory Motor Speedway. Fish up to the race lead after one lap, and he is driving away from Herschel Lawrence and Chris Franz. Car 16 on points at Hickory.
Yeah, he was taking that top line and trying to get a run going down to the stripe out of the turn 4 there.
Find the speed shot there into turn number 1. One car spinning, that's Dominic Rossi. Everybody else continues on. 8 laps to go the last time by. It'll be 7 this time. As Herzing puts some pressure here on Herschel Lawrence. Lawrence way up high on a turn 4. Gets the wall, climbs up it a little bit. Contact there with Herzing, and Lawrence is going to spin in turns 1 and 2. Not what he wanted to have happen. Oh, contact there for 3rd. The 73 and 17 drive in into one another. And they are still crashing. Fisher joins in. Franz still parked on the outside of turn 4. And that'll do it for him. Up front, it is all Fish leading the way in heat number 2. 5 laps to go. Cross flags.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Herzing can close that half a second gap that Fish has built up out of the chaos that has happened behind him.
It's about a half second as we complete one more lap now. 4 laps to go as one car is stopped there on the inside of the track. On board here with Brandon Herzing, you can see the live gap ahead to Fish as he takes a chunk out of it there in turn 2.
2/10 gained out of turn 2, and he's closing in again to gain another 10th. But he didn't have a good run out of turn 4 there.
I think he's going to get there on the final lap, potentially 3 to go. It's 2.5 this time down the back straightaway.
Yeah, judging on how much he's been taking out per lap, yeah, you might be right there, Andrew.
2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in heat 2. And the lead, the gap here now kind of stagnating. Herzing grabs a bunch more through the center of 1 and 2. That's where he's stronger for sure. Loses a little bit out of turn 2, though. I think that damage he got in the contact with Herschel Lawrence, I think that hurt this 96 car. He may not get there. I think Fish just might win this second heat. Just a half lap to go for Fish here at Hickory Motor Speedway to win heat number 2. And car 16 is grabbing himself a heat race win at Hickory.
And a big battle for 3rd was brewing with Smith taking it away from Lawrence there, with Fisher hot on his heels.
How about that for a couple of heat races here at Hickory? The virtual crowd, you can see them all on their feet there as we get ready for a quick warm-up session. As actually, it looks like, no, we're going straight into the warm-up, into the race session. I like that a lot. So let's get ready then for some feature racing here from Hickory Motor Speedway. 40 laps the distance, and that is officially the distance this time. We're not getting surprised at the drop of the green with a different lap count. 40 laps the distance for these drivers. Let's check out the full starting grid. Brandon Herzing will actually... Hang on. I think... Let's see. I think we've inverted the top 4 drivers. I wonder if that was intentional or not. And if that may be corrected under the pace lap, but you can take a look at the grid here. It's listing Herzing and Boniface on your front row. Starting 3rd, then, would be Fish, Maverick Davis from 4th, and I wonder if this will be corrected. This should be reverse order between these 4 drivers. We'll see if maybe that was added in. I was not made aware of that new invert, but moving on anyways. John Barrow will start from 5th, Mark Smith from 6th spot, 7th Jesse Fox, 8th Herschel Lawrence, and Kirk Schweizer and Douglas Fisher will wrap up your top 10 starting positions. Eric Sellers, Dominic Rossi there to complete your top 12. Timmy Martin and Ron Blackwell, your top 14. And finally, Robert Matthews and Chris Franz, the rest of your field. And yes, apparently, we are now inverting the top 4. I did not catch wind of that one. So while we know for sure it's a 40-lap race, we're now surprising us one more time with the top 4 invert. We'll see what we can come up with next week for your weekly surprise. But for now, 40 laps, the race distance. Let's get these guys turned loose at Hickory Motor Speedway, waiting on the green flag from the starter stand, and there it is. Green for 40 at Hickory. Side by side between your top 2 in standings, and Herzing goes way up the racetrack, and they're crashing in the background. It is an onslaught out of the 4th corner.
Oh, that was Fish that got loose. Getting out of turn 4.
A complete parking lot.
Oh, man.
We'll check out what happens here, and I do believe you're right. I think it was car 16 that kind of sets all of this off. Watch Fish here get loose on the inside of turn 4. Up the racetrack, gets hit by the 14, and my goodness, the 46 took one heck of an impact. And the 42 even was up, but on his lid in the wall, wow.
Wow, monster hit for the 46.
Herschel Lawrence, let's go on board here from the start of the race. Started in the 8th position, had a promising qualifying effort for sure. A little bit off in Heat 2. And this happens.
Yeah, just
wow.
Hammered straight into the catch fence. Oh, man.
Somewhere in the background there was an issue for the 42 car of Rossi. We'll figure out what that might have been now. As he was in the middle of this gaggle of race cars right behind Douglas Fisher and some others to start this race off. And right there just kind of gets involved, and oh, okay, that's an interesting way for that to react.
Well, those cars are pretty bouncy.
Let's watch this all unfold from the perspective of car 13, Timmy Martin. And he's going to have a front row seat to everything happening, especially with Herschel Lawrence. Is actually, while these guys are surprising us once more, he dodges that mishap, but we've got green flag racing up front. A quickie yellow and a quick restart. As here we go, your top 2 are going to be Matthew Boniface and Maverick Davis, and down to the start-finish line. Boniface is in the fence, the first chink in the armor for car 95 all season long. And a caution.
I wonder what that was for. There was a lot of information coming at us there.
Well, let's go back and get a full replay of the restart, because that caught us off guard while we were still in replay. That's happened a few times, but let's take a look. So this was coming to the green flag. Boniface and Davis, your front row, and then Herzing and Mark Smith and Jesse Fox 5th. This was the restart. And Davis is going to have a big-time run. And he brings the fight straight to car 95. This is into turn number 3. This is where he kind of jumped back in. Boniface up the racetrack. And something happens to the 27 car in the rear view. Blackwell just goes up the racetrack, comes back down, spins around, and that is it for him.
Yeah, maybe that there was a little bit of help given to the 95. Maybe made him go a little too hot into that corner.
I don't think we had contact. I will say, I'm pretty confident there was no contact. Maybe just, I think, got in the mirror. Hit that R2 intimidate button. I think that's really all that was.
Oh, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, it could be. You fill a mirror of a driver and something's going to happen. We never know what, though.
You can see that car really doesn't look too damaged for Boniface.
Yeah, it was just a little kiss. It's nothing major. At least I hope not. But it could be, yeah, what you said. It could be the first chink in the armor for the 95 this whole season. Let's see if he can take that and run with it, or if it'll damage his run for the rest of the night as we prepare for green.
Kind of a driver's eye perspective as Boniface gets ready for this restart. Coming to the green flag, coming to lap 11 of 40. Lap 12, rather, of 40. Green flag is out in the front. Up the racetrack, Davis in the wall, and he's going to run that car up the fence, and he is going to do a flip into turn number 3. from the race lead from hero to zero.
Oh, man. Oh, he got a monster run out of turn 2.
These guys are just learning quickly that you have got to respect Hickory Motor Speedway in every facet. And here, Davis just lays in the throttle, never lifts. Of course, he wants to get a good run out of the corner, but runs himself up into the outside wall.
Just a little too hard. Oh, that would have been the monster run of the season coming out of turn 2 for him.
Let's take the driver's eye view here for Davis. Up the racetrack, just catches the fence. And up and over with the gyro cam. That's one we don't usually use too much, but ground sky, ground sky.
Oh, man. That is a disorienting view right there. Holy cow.
And you know what that does is hand the lead straight back to car 95, Matthew Boniface. The one car nobody in this series wants to lead a race right now. Let's take a look at the standings once more. 20 points, 20 markers back to Brandon Herzing. Timmy Martin is the next closest at 44 back. Herzing is second. Martin is fourth currently on the racetrack. Yep. Eric Sellers will be next up. He runs sixth currently. After that, you're looking at Mark Smith, who currently runs third, and then Jesse Fox, who currently runs fifth. So they might not be in order, but your top 6 in the standings are currently the top 6 on the racetrack.
Yeah, and I can imagine that the 96 and on backwards, they do not want to see that 95 run away. So these guys are going to be hungry and hunting.
We'll take the green flag on lap 17 of 40. The green flag is out. Barney's going to give it a little wave, and we are back racing here at Hickory Motor Speedway, just waiting to see what's going to happen between our top 2. Herzing that time falls back on the restart, gives up a lot of time to Boniface, but stays ahead of Mark Smith and everybody else. As we wrap up that lap of action, and now Jesse Fox going to spin in the background. And he gets hit.
It was one of the cars that's running the same paint scheme as Fish. I wonder if it was Fish.
Hopefully not, but we'll get a replay here. A lot of trouble tonight at Hickory Motor Speedway, but here's Jesse Fox's trouble. Help from the 73 car to turn 1, just contact sends him around. The 314 kind of helps it from there, and then it's Douglas Fisher who grabs contact there with the 20, and then Fish gets a piece of it after the fact. Just a rough day all around so far.
Yeah, these guys I think are still trying to figure out how to get these cars running after a restart.
Let's take a look here from the bumper cam on Jesse Fox's machine. You'll see the 73 just get in a little bit deep, and then everything is just going to unfold.
Yeah, it just gives them a little tap, and that's all it took. And man, he went for a ride.
And that will bring us to the conclusion of the first half of this race. Don't worry, we've still got plenty of racing to go if these guys can get green flag. And I mentioned earlier that there was a goal to try and not count caution laps for this race, and I believe that's only going to happen when we have race control. And it sounds like, unfortunately, tonight we do not have live race control. Quentin Nuttall has been taking those duties for the majority of the season so far. It sounds like there's a bit of a situation going on for Quentin tonight, so hopefully everything is all and well. Quentin, we're thinking about you for sure. I don't think it sounds too serious, just something that he has to go and tend to, which is obviously more important than iRacing any day of the week. We're on lap 22 of 40. We'll restart on lap 23 of 40, so we'll have 18 laps to go. Boniface out front, then it's Herzing. Almost a repeat. I think it is a repeat of your front row for the green flag. Well, we have green flag once again. 18 laps to go at Hickory Motor Speedway. Let's try and get these laps in. There you see Herzing in second, then Mark Smith third, and there is Eric Sellers just kind of working his way back into this conversation as he chases the 17 car. You're on board with him now. And there's a fight back here. Chris Franz, Robert Matthews. This is for 6th and 7th. And how about Kirk Schweizer leaving the door open to John Barry for a moment? Matthews takes a look up high. And he's really going to take a look up high of Chris Franz for a moment. That does not work out for the 314.
Yeah, more and more guys battle, the more and more the guys behind are going to keep catching, but that ain't going to happen if the guys behind you are also locked in a battle.
On board here.
Schweizer battling with Barry.
This is the battle for 8th. There's even a battle behind these guys with Jesse Fox and one other driver. That's Ron Blackwell. Actually, no, that's a lapped car. That is Fish giving some pressure here to Jesse Fox, despite being some laps down.
Yeah, well, Fox has still got the
damage
up. Oh!
Blackwell, no, Matthews rather.
Oh. Oh, that was a hard hit.
A massive overcorrection there for Robert Matthews. Let's get a look back at it. And we'll even go on board here with car 314. Here it is in turns 1 and 2. Gets loose, just yanks the wheel right to try and correct, and that is a huge hit.
Oh. That's got to be one of the scariest things to happen on any oval, is that snap overcorrection, because once that happens, you have no idea, or you have no control over what's going to happen after that. It's almost game over at that point.
We'll have inside of 10 laps to go when we take the green flag for the next time, potentially final time this evening. Justin, thanks for joining us once again here for this series. It has certainly been a doozy to this point this evening, and I think that's par for the course this season. You take a look at the schedule. South Boston was a lot like this race this evening. A lot of cautions, a lot of troubles handling these race cars. Charlotte was a bit more clean and green. 5 flags last week even. A lot of green flag racing, I'd say. And Hickory tonight. This has been, I think, a struggle for these drivers to just get a handle on this race car. It's not been easy.
No, it really hasn't. From anything from what we just saw, snap oversteer, just getting a little too hot in the corners, or even just getting off corner or understeer. It's almost like a toss up on what you're going to get every corner. So it's always going to be a hard thing for these drivers to try to wrap their head around as they're trying to chase down the 95 at Boniface.
Well, it looks like we will go at least one more lap under caution here. The whole field just circulated around the speedway, and we are still under green with caution lights. Now the caution lights extinguish. And we will have at least one more attempt at green flag racing. We'll have 7 laps to do it. Potentially more. Actually, I don't think we will get more. I don't think we do green white checkers. That's right. Matthew Boniface won one of these races under caution with South Boston to kick off the season. And we could do that again. Let's hope not. 7 laps to go out front. Waiting on the green flag. There it is. We're back racing at Hickory. Mark Smith, a big dive to the inside there in 1 and 2. Gets a little bit loose out of turn 2, though, and maybe gives a little bit of time back up. Side by side with Herzing for second spot. Smith on the racetrack, and he's going to claim it. Now the fight's going to be third on back. Herzing in that spot. Really make it fourth on back as Martin falls back a little bit of Herzing.
These guys are fighting for every inch, and it looks like the 17 has his sights set on the 95 as Herzing is trying to get that spot back to him. But the 13 and 73, it looks like they're trying to duke it out as well.
You see Martin, Franz, and Sellers back here. A little further up, Mark Smith in that second spot. I think a big surprise for sure on that restart. He has completely taken control of that P2 spot and just is not letting the 96 get back to him. Herzing is struggling a bit. All the while, the red 95 walks away. Nose to tail, the 17 and 96 still split up by a little bit, and a caution. And that just might end the race.
Oh, the 27.
Ron Blackwell stuck in the inside wall, it looks like, and I think that is going to end it. Unless, no, we have changed it. Aha. More
Oh,
surprises, Justin. These guys love to keep us on our toes.
that they do.
But that's a good thing. We will get this race restarted. So let's go back and get a look at what happens here with Ron Blackwell. For the second time this evening, car 27 goes for a spin. And this time, it's in turns 1 and 2. Just way too low on the racetrack. Catches the apron, goes around, and noses it into the wall there. And it looks like gets stuck. That's a rare one for sure, but that's the bumper cam. You can see he is stuck in that wall.
Yeah, I've heard some legends about some of these walls being a little too grabby. Like to hold onto your car, so be a little bit weary.
And we will extend this race as far as we need to, it looks like, at least for one attempt. And we've had some kind of long yellows this evening. So we could work up to about 45 laps. So you start to have to wonder how much fuel is in this setup, how much fuel these guys have burned off. And if they feel like they have excess fuel at the start of the race, they can run a lower gear under caution, try to burn that fuel off. Maybe even rev the engine a little bit, try to burn that fuel and have less weight in the car. Other guys might not have done that. They might have tried to save fuel over the course of the race. I don't think we're going to be that close. I doubt the setup would be engineered to be that close to the race distance, but you never know.
Yeah, with all the with how many caution laps we've had tonight, I don't know if these guys have really had the chance to use all of the fuel.
No, I wouldn't imagine so, but it's still something that I'm at least always thinking about. The North American Racing League on Thursdays, man, it has really scared me into always having to think about some kind of fuel strategy. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
As we're going to double up this time.
All right, we're going to see how this field shakes out in these last 3 laps.
We'll have 2 to go at the drop of the green. It'll be a proper green-white checkered NASCAR style. Boniface, Smith, Herzing, Martin, Sellers, that's your top 5. Waiting on the green flag, and we are back green flag racing. It's a green-white checkered here at Hickory, and there goes Herzing to the inside for the race lead. Challenges the 95, but he's not able to do anything with it. Now he's got a challenge from the 97, and he gets turned into turn 3. They're going to wad them all up.
No! Oh, my!
And this time, the race will be allowed to go complete. Just the one green-white checkered attempt, and this drastically changes the season. Matthew Boniface will go 4 for 4. Timmy Martin will go P2, and Chris Franz will take 3rd place this evening. Congratulations, though, to the kid, Matthew Boniface. 4 wins in 4 races.
Holy. That was... Didn't see that one coming, and I'm pretty sure no one had that on their bingo card.
I'll be honest, I certainly did not. That one definitely surprised me quite a bit.
Wow.
But how about Timmy Martin even going P2, Franz 3rd, Schweizer will go 4th, Jesse Fox will take a top 5 tonight, and Brandon Herzing will be mired deep in this field. He will finish 8th place, Eric Sellers 12th. As Boniface will do more donuts this season. He is already nearly won half the season, and we haven't even run half the races of the full season. This is just insane.
Yeah, I'd say so. The great equalizer could be the dirt next week. We don't know if Boniface has any experience on the dirt.
Let's get a look back on this replay. And you'll just have to watch the 96 car. That's really where this whole incident is surrounded. He's kind of the catalyst to the whole thing. So watch the 96 of Herzing.
Gets a great jump.
And he goes to the inside of Boniface quickly. There was contact there out of 2. That checks him up. And here comes Sellers to the inside. And Sellers just holds his line. And that's a tricky thing in legend car racing, especially when you're trying to kind of block somebody down the racetrack a little bit, try to take that line away. A lot of drivers, well, they have mixed views and mixed reactions as to how they want to treat it, but we'll get a replay here from Sellers' perspective to try and tell the rest of the story.
Could be that Herzing thought he was clear. Just got to see and watch.
Well, that's exactly the kind of thing it is. Herzing wants to be clear, and Sellers doesn't want to give it up. Of course, they're racing for these last few spots.
Yep.
Well, the top spots here at Hickory Motor Speedway, and it's just, it's controversial in legend car racing, and especially, but it's always tough when it comes up. And let's just watch it again. Herzing, a big run down to the inside, checks up, and then this right here. It's hard to say if he comes down. I'd say I think he comes down a little bit. But, man, that's tough.
I think we have one suggestion. Do you think that it could be possible to check out the Jesse Fox's perspective?
So we'll watch this one more time.
All right.
And yeah, Herzing kind of comes down. He's trying to take the race line away. Of course, Sellers wants it. And everything just kind of compiles from there. We will get a look at things from the perspective of Jesse Fox. And we'll go to our unofficial race results after 45 laps of racing at Hickory. Following the number 73 of Franz, you can see everything going on from Jesse Fox's perspective. At a turn 3, Herzing gets turned, and he just has to thread the needle, and that is a beautiful job of avoidance. And that propels Fox to a 5th place finish.
Man. That was fantastic. Wow. Nicely done navigating the wrecks for most of the field there. Or should I say half the field? I know a lot of people got collected in on that.
A look at our unofficial race results after 45 laps of racing at Hickory Motor Speedway. Boniface once more keeps this perfect record going. 4 wins in 4 races, stays ahead of Timmy Martin and everybody else on those final couple of laps. And that caution flag. Chris Franz will finish 3rd, Kirk Schweizer 4th, Jesse Fox 5th position, Douglas Fisher 6th, and on down the line, John Barry, then Brandon Herzing. After that contact, he will have to suffer an 8th place finish. Mark Smith in 9th, and Maverick Davis in 10th. 3 really, really tough races, really tough outcomes for those 3 guys at the bottom of this top 10. Herzing, Smith, and Davis all had shining moments tonight, but none of them in the top 5 or even in the top 7.
Yeah. Well, coming in 11th, you got Robert Matthews, followed behind by Eric Sellers. You got Fish. 14th, you got Herschel Lawrence. 15th, Ron Blackwell. And then finishing out the field is Dominic Rossi.
Those are your 16 cars that gave us a bit of racing action this evening. Let's talk to our top 2, it looks like. We do have Matthew Boniface and Timmy Martin, so we'll grab Boniface first, your race winner, once again here at Hickory. And Matthew, you just keep piling those wins up, 4 for 4 now. But this was a bit more of a challenge. At one point, we saw there was a bit of a chink in the armor. What happened when you got the fence?
I don't remember hitting the wall, so I don't know.
We saw you get the fence a little bit, and that allowed, I think that was Maverick Davis to go by. You guys had a great fight, and then suddenly he was out of the picture. What was that like?
So he went down and bumped me. He bumped me out of the way, and then he wrecked himself. So I was able to get by him and get the win.
How about those last couple of restarts here, Matthew? Trying to endure all that chaos, and then that last one. How about what did you see in your mirror?
So Brandon tried to take me 3 wide on the start, but I didn't want to let him by, so I kind of pinned him down a little, and I think there might have been a little contact.
Well, you stay perfect on the season, 4 for 4. How do you feel about the dirt next week at Lanier?
I don't really know if I'm any good at dirt or not. I'm gonna make sure to practice a lot and try to win.
Well, if you're anything close to how you are in these legend cars here on pavement, I'd say you'll be pretty good. Congratulations once again, 4 wins in 4 weeks, 39 laps led tonight. Just once again, congrats. We'll see you next week on the dirt.
Thank you.
Matthew Boniface staying perfect there in car 95. Let's bring in, though, the driver he finishes just ahead of, and Timmy Martin in car 13. Justin, here he is.
Yeah, with Timmy Martin, I mean, man, you gotta tell me how the heck did you find yourself coming into P2 at the end of this race?
I have no idea. What did the three guys got together? Is that what happened? Everything happened so quick.
You had I believe it was Eric Sellers and Brandon Herzing getting into each other coming into turn 3, and that kind of sent the whole field awry. Do you mind telling me what happened from your perspective?
I was just in the right place at the right time.
I feel that. So throughout this race, how did this whole race feel to you? Like, did it feel that the track was losing grip, gaining grip, or how did it feel for you tonight?
It felt pretty good. I mean, there was stretches there where I didn't have people behind me, so I was able to just take it easy and just stay with the people in front of me as best I could.
Yeah, and that kind of seems like it's a common theme for a lot of these, just kind of sit and wait. And you certainly seem to be there at the right time and in the right place to come home with a P2. So, and I see that you're repping the Pit Stop TV colors, and we certainly do appreciate that.
I appreciate all you guys do. You guys do a great job.
And we appreciate it. I appreciate you coming up here talking to us. Congrats on the second place, man. Well deserved.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Well, thank you, Timmy, for your time, and that'll do it then as far as the racing action, the driver action, and everything else. We looked at the results. Let's talk about then the upcoming broadcasts here on the channel. Coming up tomorrow night, it's a new one for us. The UFL, the Untitled Friend League Elite Series, begins their season from Daytona International Speedway with their Daytona Duels. And so we're not points racing yet. We're running to set the lineup for the Daytona. I don't recall how many miles it is. It might be 300. It's 120 laps. I think it's 300 miles next week on February 8th. But February 1st, we're officially kicking the season off with the UFL Elite Series from the high banks of Daytona International Speedway. So many top-tier drivers on that entry list. And in fact, they are kicking their season off technically tonight. Just unfortunately not on the channel since we had these obligations, of course, with the HFL Legends Series. But they are technically starting tonight with their shootout. And I can't wait to see who ends up winning that one. There's social media UFL tweets, and we'll find out more, of course, about how this season is going to get started and how we're going to set the tone for this season of UFL racing beginning tomorrow night at Daytona. And of course, we do have a continuation of the North American Racing League on to Brands Hatch Circuit February 2nd, this Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Time. Before Saturday, we kick off yet another new series. We've got a lot of new things happening here at Pit Stop TV lately. It's the AIRL, American iRacing League, Martin Late Model Showdown. We are sending late model stock cars to 5 of the best short tracks in America, kicking off, of course, with Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. There aren't many better places to do it, but we're kicking off at Nashville, then continuing on to places like Southern National Motorsports Park, Langley Speedway up in Virginia, Five Flying Speedway down in Florida, and finishing things off at South Boston Speedway. Really just a tour of the Southeast, just some fantastic short tracks on Saturdays throughout the course of February. And of course, we will continue on with Legend Racing next week with the iRacing Advanced Legends Cup, brought to you by Pain Built Legends on Monday evening from Lanier Raceplex. And then we have more Linear Raceplex action. We actually have a Linear Raceplex double next week. One on the pavement for Pain Built Legends and one on the dirt here for the HFL Legends series. So a lot is going on in the next 7 days here at Pit Stop TV, but we're glad you're joining us for all of it. Go ahead and follow the links down below. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, they're all the same, but Twitch and Instagram share the same handle, the same link. So make sure to follow along at all of our platforms there. Justin, I don't know what to be more excited for, honestly, out of this lineup of racing. We have got a lot going on suddenly. 2 Legends races a week. We're bringing in a new Cup Series, if you will, on Wednesdays. GT3 racing on Thursdays. Late model short track racing on Saturdays. Everything you could ask for.
I'd say so. I mean, you can come out for almost anything you can imagine under the sun with these guys here on Pit Stop TV. Anything you like, you're going to find it within these next 7 days.
The only thing I think we could add would be dirt racing, both road and oval, and we're adding one of those next week. We don't have Rallycross, unfortunately, yet. Maybe we can add something. We'll get talking to those guys at Firelight Esports, potentially, but we're adding, technically, some dirt racing next week here with the HFL Legends series. So, yeah, it's just getting more and more interesting, for sure. As well, here you can see the schedule again. We're going to Linear Dirt next week on February 7th. But thanks for joining us so much here at Pit Stop TV. We've got so much going on week in, week out. We certainly do appreciate you joining us. How about a thank you once more to our partners at the HFL Legends Series, Admin Box and Salington Tool Manufacturing Corporation. Excuse me. That's a lot of words very quickly. And our partners, of course, here at the channel, Whiplash Media SimCams, SimRepMarket.com, and Short Track Weekly. I'm going to grab myself a quick drink of water, and meanwhile, we're just going to say good night. Thanks again for joining us here at Pit Stop TV. Thanks again to Justin Erb alongside in the commentary booth this evening. We will see you next time, hopefully tomorrow evening, for the UFL Daytona Duels. From, of course, well, Daytona International Speedway, NASCAR Gen 7 vehicles, next-gen vehicles, whatever you want to call them, on the high banks. It's going to be fun.